when we had that call, you said something really interesting, and it resonated with me, that you were like, I don't know everything. I don't know how to organize a protest. I don't know. I'm an artist, like I'm a rapper, I'm a songwriter, and it made me feel two things. One, that I can't be the solution. I have to be a part of the solution.
Right.
And that B, I can only do what I'm able to do. Sometimes I wish I had some, like a purely activist heart, but I don't know enough yet. I need to learn more. And I think, like you said, if we're learning and we're growing and we're voting, we need to be less infighting and more like support.
I feel you. And I think that like that has definitely stopped me from taking political action often, being like, I'm not, this isn't going to be enough. I can't dedicate so much time to this, you know? And like, and it does make you feel bad when you, when you like just went off on this crazy rant with your friend about how fucked up the world is and how, you know, and then it's time for you to do something and you're like, oh, I don't have the energy, you know? It is kind of depressing, but that's what, like, you know, my efforts this year was about, like, how do we simplify this, you know?
Yes,
How can I feel like I'm doing everything that I can do? Because sometimes maybe you're not doing enough, you know? And so I
totally.
tried to come up with like a list, you know, and that's why, you know, and the list was kind of like these 4 points, you know, where staying informed is the most important thing, like just making sure you're getting like the right information, getting good information.
Yeah.
There's so much misinformation out there. And then you have to do things like you have to vote, but you also have to protest, and you also have to donate money. And I feel like if I make sure I'm doing those things every year from this point out, not just this year because, you know, there were crazy protests that like crossed the entire globe. That's a rare moment, right? We're not going to get those moments all the time. But if that energized me to start donating, then I need to put that as one of the things that I do every year, if not once a month. Even more simple, we see people get bullied in public spaces all the time. We see people not be able to stand up for themselves in our schools, in our workplaces, to be like, I'm gonna look out for homie because like no one else is looking out for them. That's a form of protest, you know, speaking out against when you see somebody being bullied. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to like catch a rubber bullet in the face to say that you're protesting, you know, like you can.
I want that to be written on a wall somewhere, what you just said.
You don't have to like catch a rubber bullet in the face to say that you're protest.
I love what you just said, is that these moments, like everything it can be a protest if you standing up for what's right, because it's usually really hard and you usually get shit for it. And people don't want to be ashamed. They want to be comfortable. We all want to be accepted and to resonate with others, you know, especially the whole Minnesota nice thing, the Wisconsinality, whatever you want to call it. We don't like this conflict and we like to let people be, but that's not how we get better. And we have to be willing as calmly and as strongly as we can to say something when you see something.
It's not about you're constantly policing people and trying to like, you know, like call people out with every slip of the tongue, like policing everyone around you. But I think that there is a way to remind ourselves as individuals to live a life that is like always softly political, you know, like so everything doesn't have to feel like a fight.
Yeah, man.
Regardless of the turnout of the election, there's still so much work that needs to be done. So it's about like I don't know, I always feel like that everybody who's being politically engaged this year for the first time, like we should be patting everybody on the back, you know, being like, we are really putting our best foot forward. And I think that we have to realize that we are making that progress, and to not think that everything is always like the end of the world, you know.
I have been zooming super far out in my head about the general, you know, temperature or wherever we're at in the world as large. Like, it is better than it's been the vast majority of the time before this, right? Like, things do get better, things do change. They don't always change for the better in the moment. And I'm not just being like blindly optimistic. There's so many things and variables that go into changing history, and they don't all happen like at once. Very rarely. I mean, I think we've seen a couple things this year that I think has moved history like faster than we've ever seen before. But in general, like, progress does take a while, and it's never what you want it to be right in that moment or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and
that's where my head's been.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, I think a lot of times we forget that we're part of these like really complex systems, whether it's like the way that the U.S. government is set up or just the way that nature acts, like in general. It's
Yeah.
like no one is an individual. There's no, like, it's so many things happening all at once that can affect our lives in positive or negative ways. And what we're really trying to do is like maintain a balance, right? To put so much emphasis on an election where either you're like, if we don't get this one person out of office, the whole world is going to end, or I'm not going to vote at all because nothing matters. Like those two extremes just shouldn't exist,
We're hearing the word systemic so much. We pretend that we're not in like a very corrupted thing. Like every political system in history has been corrupt.
Right. And like in some ways, like you can kind of control how corrupt your system will be based on how active you are within the system, right? If you're not engaged with it, then you kind of give those corrupt people more room to do whatever they want to do, right? But if
Yeah.
you are engaged in it, you let them know that, like, hey, we have our eye on you. I think there's a way that you can kind of be skeptical of something, but still, like, put your best foot forward, Like, I think that the thing that we kind of need the most right now is, like, really radical optimism. And be like, hey, like, I'm going to give it my best try right now because if I don't, we already see where the ship is heading. Let me just try to fix the things that I haven't been doing that could help out my immediate community and then also, extend it to like the greater community of the entire country.
Yeah, man.